Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to College Hoops Tonight. I am Austin Samuels, as always, your host for your one-stop shop for everything college basketball. We've got a good one for you here today. Just a couple of weeks, only about a week and a half, in fact, out of the beginning of college basketball, November 9th. I believe it's a Tuesday. A lot of action. We're going to break a lot of that action down next week in a little bit of a preview show. But let's hop in right into our show today. First of which, prospect Jaylen Reed, the 93rd prospect in the 2022 class, commits to Florida. He's a 6'11 power forward. My goodness, is he a twig. He looks like Kevin Durant in the flesh. In fact, he compares his game to Kevin Durant, which is high praise for himself, but he can do a little bit of everything. He can dribble, he can shoot. At 6'11", that's a really unique talent. We'll see how he works out at Florida. Secondly, Dylan Mitchell commits to Texas over schools like Florida State and Tennessee. He's the 28th overall prospect in the 2022 class. As a 6'7 wing, his main skills are defense. He's a lockdown defender. Going to be really, really key for Texas in the tough Big 12 this year next year to play some really good defense. As well as he's a really good slasher. And of course, that leaves the one thing that a lot of people have to work on, which is their shooting stroke. That is by far his weakness, and he knows it's his weakness in a few interviews, but he is definitely going to be a good player at University of Texas. Lastly, the preseason All Americans have been picked. The starting five has been released. The first one, Illinois center Kofi Cockburn. Not really a surprise here. People were thinking he was going to transfer in the offseason. He did not. He stayed with the Fighting Illini. Last year, he averaged 18 points and 10 boards with about a block and a half. He's going to be the best player on a really good team. Going to be exciting to watch him this year. Second of which is Johnny Juzang, the UCLA guard. He averaged 23 points in the NCAA tournament last year. A lot of high expectations for him and the rest of this UCLA team here, who is favored by far to win the Pac-12. Thirdly, Colin Gillespie, the Villanova guard. Not really a flashy guy here. He's a pretty typical Villanova guard, similar to Dante DiVincenzo. He plays defense and he can hit threes, and he's a senior this year, and he looks to lead Villanova back to another Big East title and hopefully more for the Wildcats. So, at the other spot, Drew Timme, the Gonzaga center. At last year, he averaged 19.7 rebounds. This year, to be honest, the Zags are straight up looking for a national championship, and anything short would probably be a failure. So Drew Timme expected to have another big year this year. Lastly, to round off the preseason All American squad, a little bit of a surprise here, although I really like this kid. Trayce Jackson Davis. I've talked about him in past episodes. He is the Indiana center. Last year, he averaged 19 points, 9 boards, and a block and a half. He looks to finally lead this Indiana team back to the NCAA tournament. It's been 5 years. It's been 5 years since they've been in the NCAA tournament, so this year would be a big year for them to get back into it, and I think Trayce Jackson Davis can lead them there. So as promised, similar to last week, we talked about how we were going to do sleepers, like we talked about last week, how we did sleepers in Power 5 conferences. This time, we're going to do 5 sleepers in non-Power 5 conferences. Now, these aren't people who are necessarily, I'm saying, are going to win their conference, but they're definitely going to surprise a lot of people and be better than most people think. The first of which is San Francisco, the San Francisco Dons. Coming into the year, they are picked to win, or to get fourth place in the WCC conference. Last year, they were really inconsistent, but they showed some really nice flashes. Like they beat Virginia in a really close game. They've got a lot of people coming back, and this is going to be a really exciting team in the WCC, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the conversation for the NCAA tournament come March. Second team is Wyoming, the Cowboys, a really, really interesting team here. Their coach has fully embraced the analytics side of basketball. They shoot threes after threes after threes. They put up more threes than just about anybody in the country. They have the ninth highest rate. However, they get up just about more shots than anyone because of how fast of a pace they play. Last year, they were first in the Mountain West in points per game, but they were last in points given up per game. So you can kind of tell how their style is there in Laramie. They're going to be a really exciting team nonetheless, whether they're good or not. Play a lot of high-scoring games, and I think this year they're going to be pretty dang good. A little sleeper in the Mountain West there. The third team, and I can't believe I'm even putting them on here, Oral Roberts. That's right. The team that was almost in the Elite Eight last year after a really, really crazy run as the number 15 seed. They were picked to just get third place in the Summit Conference this year, which is absolutely crazy in my mind. They've got Max Asmus back. That enough right there, I feel like, should be enough for Oral Roberts to win the Summit Conference and come back to the NCAA tournament at least. They did, unfortunately, lose their second star, Kevin O'Banner, to transfer. He left for Texas A&M in the offseason. The fourth team is the UAB Blazers, the University of Alabama, Birmingham. They're predicted to win second place in the Conference USA. This is a really interesting team because they're going to have probably 6 guys in their rotation that are transfer students. And none of them have experience playing with each other. So it's going to be a really big wild card scenario. Will this team fit together? Will they not? But I mean, 6 of their 8 guys in in their rotation this year are going to be from the transfer portal. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that fits together. This is rumored to be UAB's best team since the 1980s. So we'll see if they can finally get back to the NCAA tournament this year in what looks to be a really good UAB squad. And then lastly, my last sleeper is the St. John's Red Storm. They're picked to get 5th in the Big East this year, and I think that's simply too low. They last year started out really, really poorly in Big East play and kind of dropped out of things, and then they went on a crazy run to end the year and were on the tournament bubble, however, missed out on the NCAA tournament. This year, they've got their 2 best players coming back. They've got Julian Champagny, who's a really, really good scorer. He averaged over 19 points a game last year. And then they've got the Big East Defensive Player of the Year, Posh Alexander, coming back last year, who almost averaged 3 steals a game. That's right, 3 steals a game, which is pretty incredible. So, those are my 5 sleepers: San Francisco, Wyoming, Oral Roberts, University of Alabama, Birmingham, UAB, and St. John's. If you're going to look out there to pick someone that your friend maybe isn't, there you go. There's 5 teams. But on that note, I think that is just about going to do it for us here today on College Hoops Tonight. I'm Austin Samuels, as always. I hope you guys are tuning in, hope you guys are enjoying, and hope you guys have a great weekend. College basketball is just around the corner. You've been watching College Hoops Tonight.